This has been one of the strangest summers I have had in a long time, especially since starting the channel. You know that around here at my car shop that wintertime is about the deep fabrication stuff like the Forsyth Duster and the Stitches Challenger and some of the other projects that we have like that, where we're going down deep, dirty, making stuff from scratch, welding panels, folding panels, making all kind of cool stuff. In the summertime, we try to focus on the driver cars like the 68 Pro Street Dart GTS, the 47 Ford Street Rod, the 69 Charger, Scoops, the Oakland. I don't know. There's a bunch of them. I can't keep track of them all. This year has been weird for a number of reasons. The weather's been wacko. We've had all kinds of other stuff going on family-wise that has just kept me flat out doing other things. We're really ramping up stuff on the homestead here with the gardening and doing a lot more. It's just been a weird year. And I really haven't been able to focus on the things that I want to. So today, I'm taking a little reprieve to mentally group or regroup, and I'm including you in that journey. I'm going to throw some stuff in the mill here. We're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're just going to visit a few things here around the shop and around the property to kind of catch you up to speed on where we're at with some stuff. So I know it's a little bit different. I'm Mike, if you don't know who I am, and this is My Car's Shop. Yes, my name is Mike, and it's Mike R's Shop, or My Car's Shop. The last big project that we tackled here on the channel was getting the Bridgeport installed and getting it fired up and getting it functional and cleaned up and so forth. And one thing that I did not get back to doing with the Bridgeport after we had it all cleaned up was I didn't get anything oiled down. I didn't really think about it a whole lot because my lathe has been here for, better than a year now. And it's been fine. It hasn't rusted at all. Well, after cleaning this thing up with Super Clean, it is such an aggressive cleaner. It took every drop of oil off of this thing. I wasn't paying any attention. I didn't get out here for about a week. I came out and went, oh no! All of the shiny metal stuff was surface rust. That was no big deal. It took me like 45 minutes to go around, scrub it all up again, and wipe everything down with a light coat of oil. So hopefully it doesn't do that again. I actually have used it. I still have an end mill in here. Used it on a project that you're going to see coming soon here on the channel regarding my wood lathe. That shall be a teaser. I got a new wood lathe, and it's actually 4 projects here in My Car Shop. So we'll take you over there and maybe give you a sneak peek of that, and there's more coming. But today I wanted to just fire this thing up and make some chips and just talk about a few things. I need to fire up the controller in here before we can fire up the lathe, because, it's kind of necessary. As is typical of so many machine shop type things that I've been around in my life, the T-blocks that are here to hold down the various and different things in the bed, well, they're not exactly right. So when I went to do the project the other day, the nuts were jammed down all the way on the stud, and when you turn the nut, the stud would come out of the T-block. And I got them loose, but I didn't get an opportunity to really put those in there properly. So we're going to do that real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, there we go. We got those in there now. I prefer to try to, it's more of a pain in the butt, but I hate what I hate even more is having these T-blocks with the stud loose, and then you're trying to tighten down the nut, and the nut is, the stud isn't engaged very far down in the T-block, and you rip threads out. That's just a mess. I don't like that at all. So I prefer to have these nice and tight down in there. They're a little snug. We can take them out if we need to. So I'm going to bring up my little vise down here and get that on here, and then we'll go from there. One thing about equipment like this is it's heavy, and it will leave a mark if you drop it on your foot or you pinch your fingers, so you always got to be careful. Because I'm not really doing a project, I'm just doing more of a setup here. But I did want to talk about my plans for the mill and why I wanted one, and what I'm intending to make with it. So when we go through the list of projects here around the shop, we've got a lot of stuff coming, right? We've got we've got to put a big block in the Challenger 440 with a 4-speed behind it. I have most of what I need for that project. We're building that 426 for the Golden Mullet project, which is going to be on hold for a while, I admit. But there's still some parts that I could be building here on the mill for that project, as well as for the Stitches Challenger. Some parts I'm going to need for both, and there's just a whole plethora of stuff. And I've been thinking about, well, what's one of the first projects I want to tackle besides the stuff that just kind of pops up and unexpectedly, like the clamp that I made for the wood lathe. I'll show you that in a minute. And I realized that, like, I don't have any accessory brackets for a big block. I had one set and I gave them to Joe for the charger, and I could go take those off of the charger, and, well, he wouldn't be very happy, and that would be like, not a good thing. I'm not going to take my brackets back. That's not the point. So I was kind of kicking around ideas, and I thought, what would be fun is to make a set of brackets for a big block. Well, the crew cab truck that I've got coming, it's got a big block in it. That's going back to my buddy Dave. He bought the motor, I bought the truck. And when we bring it here, I told him I'll pull the motor out and we'll get the motor back to him. Saves him time, gets it out of his place, yada yada. But I did ask, can I steal the brackets off of that motor so that I can make my own out of aluminium? So that's one project we're going to do, is make a set of big block accessory brackets. So that's one project. In thinking about the viewers on the channel, I don't know how many people know what a mill can do or what a mill does. And I thought it'd be just fun to demonstrate a few things with it, like you can cut slots, you can machine an edge. So I'm just going to demonstrate a couple of ideas here. Let's fire this baby up. So if I wanted to machine that edge for some reason, I can do that just by coming in like that and then working along both directions. This doesn't want to turn the other way very well. Probably needs a little work yet. But you can see we're machining along that edge. Now, I didn't go all the way, so I actually machined a taper on it. I wanted to go a little more. Now I'm all the way through, and we can machine that edge in. We're still actually machining a little bit of a taper. I'm not quite deep enough yet. There we go. And say I wanted to make an indent there that was a little bit bigger. We can do that just by bringing it in further. This end mill isn't the sharpest in the world, but you get the idea anyway. So let's say that in the middle of that, I wanted to machine a slot of some kind for whatever reason. So then we can just bring it in. Need to go in a couple passes on that one. Or say, for example, we wanted a recess like that to clear a bolt head. We have that also. So we have lots of options. We can also go into the middle of a panel. And we can do a slot if we want. This is where it's going to be really handy for doing brackets accessory brackets, stuff like that, because we can really do a nice job of machining a slot. Let's bring you over here so you can get a little closer look. So I'm creating a slot right now that I could run a bolt in for some kind of an adjustment, let's say. Yeah, this mill is really dull, but that's okay. I prefer not to hog all the way through in one cut. Okay, we're through now, and so the rest is just cleanup, right? Look at that beautiful slot. Now, if I wanted to continue and make that longer, I can. But again, I'm not crazy about doing that much material at once. It puts a lot of heat in there. I prefer to take several cuts. So that would be a type of thing we would do for alternator brackets. Now that's a straight piece of metal, but we have indexing tables down here that go on there that you can cut radii. So you bolt an indexing table on here and then you crank that and it spins and you can create radius in a circular or an arced piece of metal, that kind of stuff. So that's really cool. Um, got just endless possibilities. Like I said, we can edge pieces, we can true things up. None of this is square, obviously. I was just demonstrating. But one of the big projects that this is going to save me thousands of dollars is building the blower drive for the 671 blower we're going to put on that 426 wedge. With this machine, that machine, and the Cincinnati, when we get that running, the sky's the limit. The limit is going to be my skill to make things. With these indexing tables, I can even cut, I probably won't, but I can even cut the aluminum pulleys for the blower drive belt if I have the right dimensioning and so forth. I don't know if I'm up to tackling that. My machine skills are way out of date. But this equipment is capable of that. So literally I could take an aluminum blank, put it in the lathe, spin it out, get it hollow, get it so it matches the mount. I can make the splines for the steel shafts that go from the snout into the blower itself to drive the blower. I can machine the blower snout. I can machine the lower crank pulley. I can machine my own idler pulley, my own idler arm for the idler pulley. I can machine the carburetor plate for the dual quads that are going on top of that 671 blower. I can even, if I want to and really feel froggy, I can make my own blower manifold to bolt that on. So literally, other than buying the belt, I don't know how to machine that. I could make it all. Now my plan is probably to buy the pulley drives, buy the drive pulleys in the belt, and then machine everything else myself. Just because I don't want to tear up $150, $200 blower belts because my machining was off a little bit. But another option is to, determine what drive ratio I want, which I'm thinking about overspeeding the blower, which is a big no-no, but I'll do it anyway. And just buy those or borrow those from somebody and machine my own to match without doing all the maths and stuff. But the blower drive pulleys aren't that expensive. The expensive stuff is all of the bearing snout, the manifold, all of that stuff. With this equipment, I can make all of that myself. This is the wood lathe that we will be putting in service soon. You think, well, what do we need a wood lathe for here in my car shop? If you remember the episode that I did a while ago where I was doing um, metal spinning, sheet metal spinning, I used a metal form. With a wood lathe, I can make hardwood forms to put in the metal lathe and do my metal spinning, my sheet metal spinning, over those, so I can form the shape that I want here. This is up to a 12-inch throw. I can make a pretty big piece in here if this has the horsepower to do it, and then put that over there in that metal lathe or the other one if it's here and still working, or if it's working and still here, and do my sheet metal spin forming of sheet metal to form shapes. Like if I needed to make like a headlight bucket, something like this. I don't know if these machines that I have are big enough to start with a piece of metal that's flat to form that, but I could definitely make the form in the wood lathe, and if I had a big enough lathe to put that in, I could sheet metal spin that into shape and make my own headlight. I saw a video of them in England making a Model A headlight, and it was just brilliant. I've proven on the channel already that I can do that work. I made that little part. It's over here. I'll show you. If you haven't seen that episode, go check it out. My very first attempt ever at doing that kind of spinning, and it turned out pretty respectable. This was a piece that I spun on the lathe just as a test. So yeah, I'm excited about that skill set because really what I'm doing right now is I'm building up the tools and equipment that I have, so I have on hand whatever I need to make almost anything that I want. We haven't come back to this piece of equipment for a while, but I have my own valve grinding equipment here. With the mill, I'm not saying we would do it, but the machine is capable, if I could get the fixturing right, of machining surfaces. You could bore out engines on that thing. You could surface heads on that thing. But let me make this clear. There are much better machines to do that. I'm not saying I'm going to. I'm saying if a guy knows what he's doing and has the proper fixturing and is patient enough and tedious enough, these machines can do it. I'm not saying they can do it the easy way. I'm just saying they can do it. I can hear all the sputtering and muttering and comments, and go ahead, bring them. That's fine. I didn't say I was going to. I didn't say it was the recommended way. I said if a guy really knows what he's doing, these machines are capable of doing it, okay? So it would take a much better machinist than me, and I have no intention of doing it. But what I'm trying to do here is establish a self-sufficiency that saves me huge amounts of money as much as possible and where it makes sense, so that really there's no project that I can't take on. You know, it was Becky was commenting on that the other day. I was talking about some stuff that's coming, and I said, you know, now with the Bridgeport and the lathe, I can make that, and I can make this, and I can make that, and with the wood lathe now, I'll be able to make this and make that. And she's like, the stuff you can make is just incredible. Well, I'm not saying the stuff I make is incredible. What she's saying is the stuff that I can make is quite incredible. So let me talk about one thing, because it's an important foundation for the channel, and I want to address this to maybe alleviate some concerns. Here's the struggle for me. I've wanted one of these for 30 or 40 years, probably 30 years. However, the premise of the channel is what the average guy can do in his home garage. So I'm going to be keeping that in mind. If you're going to build a blower motor, the average guy at home probably doesn't have one of these available, right? So that means the average guy is going to go out and look for cheap used stuff that he can buy to build his motor with. Nothing wrong with that. This fell in my lap. Okay, if you were in my circumstance, you certainly would not have said no. My nephew had it. If you don't know the story, he wasn't using it, and he said, why don't you take that to your house and get it cleaned up and get it set up and use it, because it's been sitting there for 10 years and not being used. All the control cabinet stuff to take it from 110 to 480 volt three-phase, my buddy Chris had just kicking around from his job, stuff they were throwing out. Total cost on this is not much. Okay, I bought some tooling for it, and I found at the restore for literally, like, this end mill I paid $1 for. That runs for like 60, 70 bucks online. It does need to be sharpened, but I got a couple brand new ones that I picked up for $2 or $3. So here's my thinking. Two splits here to stay true to the channel. I don't want to become this multimedia, multi-million dollar. I'd like to make multi-million dollars, but I mean, as far as, you know, sponsorships, and I've got Summit Racing sending me big crate motors, and I don't want to be that guy. But if an opportunity falls in my lap that could fall in your lap, I certainly don't want to push it away because I'm going, well, that doesn't line up with the premise of the channel. Okay, for the average guy, you can buy these for anywhere between $2,000 to $5,000, and I think if you really watch, I think sometimes you can pick them up for less than that. I've watched for years, and I've seen some pretty good deals on some machines that needed some work. So I don't feel like that's too out of line in the scope of everything we do here. That an average guy could get one of these, or a small one. There's smaller versions of this. This is a big industrial machine. I think that Harbor Freight has one for $1,200 or something like that. It's a bit smaller, but very capable of doing a lot of the same things I'm going to be doing here. So I don't feel like that's out of line. The second thing is a lot of the stuff I'm going to be doing, you may be taken to a machine shop to get done and stuff like that. So that's still within reach of the average guy. So I may be showing you how I do it or whatever, but I don't feel like that's compromising the intent of this really trying to keep it a DIY. However, I really am reticent to ever go into the get sent $10,000 worth of products to build this car. That would be hard to turn down, and I think it would be hard for you to turn down, but I don't think that's as in reach for the average guy as this other stuff. So that's the way I look at it is, okay, can the average guy, given the circumstance of this thing, or with what he has in his bank, buy something like this for a reasonable amount that doesn't break the bank? And I think so. So that's my intent here. But I'm still going to be doing stuff with hammer and dolly and drills, and if there's a simple way to do something without using a machine, I'm going to do it. Sometimes I'm going to throw it in the machine just to make it simple. But I think you can also learn about how this equipment works, so I think there's value there also. That's the challenge. I know there are people going to come in and like, well, yeah, that's easy for you because you got all that equipment. It's YouTube. I get it. But I'm trying to stick with my core values here on the channel, which is keeping things within reach of the average guy. So I know for a fact that in my section, in my neighborhood here where I live, there's at least one other guy that has one of these in his ag shop. So if you don't have one, you might know somebody who has one who can do some of this work for you too. So there's value in that as well. As a matter of fact, I got a couple projects lined up to do for some friends. They say, oh, can you do that on the mill for me? Of course. I got another friend who's can I use your mill sometimes? Of course. I know his skills. He can do it. Okay. So that again, just trying to be in touch with and not losing sight of the core of the channel.
And please don't mistake me for somebody who actually cares what somebody else thinks. I'm trying to be true to myself here.
The Oakland had been back here for a few weeks while we were doing all of the equipment moving in and out. So that needs to be, something's dead back here. Stank. Anyway, so that needs to be, stuff in here needs to be dealt with also, what I'm saying. So we have a hoist now to put upstairs that we can winch some heavy stuff up. So I'm hoping to take about 50% of what's here and that upstairs and make more room back here for more things, like maybe this is where the wood lathe will find a permanent home at some point. I still want to move some of this stuff around. Maybe those jack stands will go upstairs because I don't need them very often, but when I do, I need them, so they could be up there. Now that we have the winch, we can put stuff upstairs. I was very glad to get the Oakland out of back there because I was concerned about critters getting on the roof, like a coon or a cat. So it's back in the car trailer. Even though the car trailer is full of kitchen cabinets, I was able to take and stack them up in there in a safe way so the car can still be in there. Of course, the GTS is here, and I got a few things I want to do to that. Not much. It doesn't get a lot of attention, but we're going to be back on the 47 soon, and of course, we're always on the Oakland, and there's just some cool stuff coming up. With the lathe here and the mill here, I'm thinking about how much when I bought this lathe, I was thinking about, I don't know how much I'm going to use it, but it'll be handy. Oh my goodness, I use that thing a couple times a month. I expected to use it a couple times a year. Just having it on hand, boom, just amazing. And with the mill, I'm realizing it's going to be the same way. having it on hand means that there's going to be all kinds of stuff that I'm going to be able to expedite because I'll just chuck that in the mill and get it done. I will talk about other ways things can be done besides doing them in the mill, so the DIY guy who doesn't have one of these at his disposal can still accomplish the same work that we're doing here within reason. All right, that does it. I wanted to show this to you today and just talk about some things. I wanted you to see some of the capability of what we can do with it. These are the indexing tables down here. There is a horizontal one and a vertical one. Actually, that one does both. Maybe they both do both. Can't tell. Nope, that one's strictly horizontal, so that would need an L bracket to be vertical, which wouldn't be great. But that one there goes both ways, so that's cool. It can be horizontal or vertical. Lots more stuff coming on shop equipment, and of course we're going to be working on projects. So I appreciate you being here. Thanks for spending the day with me. This was a not so much getting stuff done, although I admit that playing with the Bridgeport, that's always fun. But I just wanted to give you some thoughts on what I'm doing here and where we're heading. So I appreciate it, and don't go away. We'll be back. I'll be here. You should too. Oh yeah, don't forget. It's important.